Attention writers, creators, and aspiring authors. It's time to go to the next level.
Pen Legacy will help you get there.
Offering the leverage toward every process.
When it comes to book publishing and coaching, nobody does it better than Pen Legacy.
Nobody does it better than Pen Legacy. Pen Legacy.
Y'all, we back, and we here to stay. All right, my guest, she just hit me in the DMs. Definitely excited about having her on the show. Reach over and grab some of her books. Yes. So I'm actually highlighting the importance, since this is Black History Month. Our stories are so very important. We read about his story and her story, but what about our story? So our stories are very important, and we have with us tonight, just need her to hit that request button. I think she should be in the building. Charron Monaye. Many of you know her from her best-selling books, Charron Monaye. So I wanted to kick this off with not what you all are mostly used to as entertainment. Make sure you all share this video to as many people as possible. If you're what I call my diehard Farrah Gray super fans, represent your city, represent your state. Let me know where you're from. Drop it in the comments where you're from. Represent your city, represent your state. What about women who can't concentrate because we're looking at you? Oh, thank you. I keep telling y'all keep telling the brother he's handsome. You just lying to me. Need y'all to stop lying to me. Stop telling me I'm handsome. Florence, Arizona, represent your city. Drop it in the comments. I'm coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. Hello. All right. Yeah, stop lying to me. On your show. Okay. Thank you for having me in South Carolina, South Kakalaki. Charron is coming in. Greetings, Queen. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Guess what I got in the mail?
What you got in the mail?
Hey.
Hey, there's my girl.
Yes. I was just talking about the fact that we learn so much about his story and her story, but don't really get to talk about our stories. And our children only grow up to be what they can see.
Yes.
You know, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and many would call the hood Robert Taylor Projects. And yes, my father was a Black leader and activist, yes, but my mom left my father when I was very young. So we lived from pillar to post. And I realized in growing up and starting my first business at such an early age in poverty, that it was important to see examples. Even to this age, even to this day, I have young brothers and sisters walk up to me and shake my hand and say, I've never seen success in my color before. Mm-hmm. So that's very critical. Thank you, brother. Your dad is the legend. Yes. My father's book, the Book of Khaled, I did the foreword for it. Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz actually wrote his biography. So I think it's so very important and fitting that we chose Black History Month to deal with the importance of our youth learning who they are. With so much going on politically, critical race theory, whether it should be talked about in the school. You've got, I can't say too much here on Instagram. Yes. But careful. Yeah, you got the governor, of Florida, who was running for, when I saw him running for governorship again for re-election, I was hoping that somebody would be able to beat him, because he's really trying to wipe our stories away. So we have a responsibility, Kuji Chagulia, self-determination, to tell our stories. So with that, all of that, thank you so much, Charron Monaye, for joining me. She's a best-selling author. She's a literary coach. She's a ghostwriter. What, 26 best-selling books now?
Yes, yes.
You ain't
26.
playing.
I ain't playing. I'm from the north side of Philly.
Well,
So all we know is success.
that's right. That's right. Absolutely. So let's jump right into this. Tell me about your publishing company and some of your most recent books that we have here with us.
Sure. So my publishing company is entitled Penn Legacy Publishing. It was founded in 2015, actually in Philly. Before I actually started the publishing company, I was already a published author. So I actually assisted people, sorors, fraternities. I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And a lot of my sorors came to me and was like, hey, you're successful. You need to help us now. So that was the start of, I always say, my community service project. That's how the publishing company started. And since 2015, it has grown. We have published authors all across the United States, Trinidad, Bermuda, Africa, all over, UK, you name it. We have authors that have actually, worked under us, or I've actually ghostwritten for. And actually in 2020 is when the start of the book you're holding, The Adventures of Michelle series, started, which is my middle name. Monaye is not my name, it's my pen name. I got tired of writing self-help books and let me help you, save you, prevent you, and wanted to kind of lighten the load. We was in the pandemic. Everybody was feeling the weight of finances, death, pain, losing jobs. And I kind of wanted to circle back to that inner child of mine that wanted to deal with some of the issues that kids are dealing with, talk to them, encourage them, support them, tell them that it's okay. Like, it's okay to dream. It's okay, to want to be a writer. It's okay. Everybody's not a basketball and football players. It's okay to be an engineer. It's okay to travel outside your block. Like, it's okay. And then remembering my nieces watching Dora, and not seeing a Dora for us.
That's right.
So Michelle became my Dora. And since 2020, it's 7 books in her series. I'm actually writing 4 more this year. We're going to shout out the HBCUs and the military, just every aspect. Absolutely.
The blacker the college, the sweeter the knowledge.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just highlighting and giving our Black and brown children the ability to dream and know what's possible.
Evelyn Braxton, Queen, Mother.
Hello.
Welcome. So
hello,
to have you in the building with us. So the bottom line is, the reason why I wanted to have you on the Farrah Gray Show here on my live is because I think it's so important when we look at the fact that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Absolutely.
And we are not slavery.
Yeah.
We are the mother and father of some of the greatest inventions. We are the mother and father of science and mathematics. And our inventions, there it is, our inventions need to be taught, because I believe that our youth, when you look at the school to prison pipeline, it's a system that teaches inferiority and that teaches us that we are not literally one of the greatest inventors of all time. We are the mother and father of this foundation of what we call these yet to be United States of America. And when our children don't know who they are, and then we're wondering why they're not, in many cases, testing as high in the school system, it's because they've been robbed of the knowledge of self. And we have forgotten that when we were brought here, we were, in the words of my father, we were robbed of our name, our religion, our culture, our God, our folk ways, our moral ways, and our norms. And by the way that many of us...
And our creativity.
That's right. In our creativity, we've even lost our minds. So I think that it's so very important for these types of children books, because again, if we don't start with the youth, The youth to me are the greatest investment in this generation. I believe coming up is the greatest generation that we've produced up from slavery.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this generation is the generation that's going to lose. If you, like you spoke of critical race theory, you spoke of, you know, I actually right now I'm residing in Florida. So I'm under that governor. I'm under that governor who says you can't have these books in school.
You're fighting a good fight.
Absolutely. Somebody, in my opinion, I'm a mother of 2 sons. So I'm already dealing with the mom that prays every day when her children walks out the door. And then I also have to prepare them for what that life looks like for them when they walk out the door. And then I have nieces, I have sisters. Like I have people in my generation that don't know that when we came here, we were creative. We knew how to operate. We knew how to build and create and structure, which we don't get we don't get the acknowledgement for. And it's not saying that everybody walking who creates need an award, but we need to understand that the things that's in your house, even though it says made in China, the foundation and blueprint was made by us. Let's start at the basics, and by us needing and the importance of knowing the basics of who we are, not what we are or what books say we are, but understanding who we are is definitely going to help us, especially when it comes to erasing us, taking us out of books, forgetting our stories, denying an AP course. Basic fundamentals for the next generation, my children, that children generation won't know anymore. Won't know. If it's not Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks, it's like the Black culture is like, who are you?
Absolutely. They absolutely have decided to tell us who we can celebrate.
Absolutely.
In the words of Public Enemy, most of my heroes don't appear on those stamps. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't know them.
We do not.
And we don't know them. Like when my youngest son actually read Imagine Life Without African American Inventors, he was shocked that we invented the mailbox, that we invented the alarm system that people, use to protect their homes. It was a Black woman who did that. We don't know that. That stuff is not in the book. We are toward slavery, civil rights, Jim Crow, still fighting for freedom. But where is the positive that we've done? Everything is not a
in the comments if you all are celebrating Black History Month. Drop a heart in the comments if you are celebrating Black History Month.
Yes.
So you're absolutely correct. You look at Madam C.J. Walker and her influence on the hair care industry, yet every store we go to, they don't look like us. Yet they have been profiting off of the Black man, the Black woman specifically, and we don't see a Black man or a Black woman in any ownership position or capacity. So it's clear. Yeah, I love these red, black, and green hearts. Drop your heart if you're celebrating Black History Month. Well, really every day, because you can't fit our infinity in history into the coldest, shortest month when we are again, the mother and father of science, morality, and mathematics. And when we say made in China, the original Chinese man and woman look like me, or actually more chocolate than both of us. So we are the original and all came from us. But again, going back to the importance of our children knowing our stories. That's the critical part.
And the positive side of our stories. We can preach slavery and civil rights all day, but we have done much, much far greater. Like a lot of people don't know that it was African Americans that built the White House, not once but twice. That's not in the book either.
Teach.
It's not in the book.
Yeah.
So my goal now, since I've started this series, is to give what they are truly robbing us of, and enlightening people on things that you won't necessarily find anywhere.
Now tell me about your ghostwriting service. Why would someone need a ghostwriter?
One, because they want to write a book or they have a story, but they don't have the time, energy, patience, or know how to do it themselves. Writing a book, I always tell people, writing a book is not like writing a post. Writing a book is not like writing an essay. It's not even like talking. Because with the book, I always relate books to film.
Yes.
You have to capture their attention, the first page, and keep their attention for however long, you want that story to progress. So for a lot of people, they have a story, but they don't know where to start. They have a story, but they don't know how to write. They have a story, but they don't have the time. They're busy. So you hire a ghostwriter, a person who do have the time to help you craft your story, help you write your story, and ultimately take that burden off of you. And I am so honored that ghostwriting is one of the services that I have, because I've worked with a lot of amazing people and have learned from a lot of people behind the scenes.
Well, the ghostwriter is really the bridge from their idea to fruition.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I've had ghostwriters, I think I think about 7 books, 20 some odd countries, 20 some odd countries now, and I think about 12 or 13 different languages. And I've had ghostwriters for all of my books.
Nice.
Ghostwriters, I had one ghostwriter charged as much as $50,000 to write a book. So that just goes to show you. You look at, reportedly, I don't know for sure, but I believe that Jay-Z's ghostwriter for one of his books that he did charged allegedly, reportedly, $200,000. So that just gives you all in the audience an idea. You're a little bit blurry reception-wise, just so you know. So there you go. So just to give you all an idea of how important it is to have a ghostwriter, because a lot of us have ideas, we're intimidated by the process, but a ghostwriter literally carries you through, and is ghostwriter / therapist, because they help you process and release your work and that God-given book that is within you. Because I believe we should all be writing a book. It's just something, it's not just something that's reserved for celebrities. You got to have a big following. I tell people that a book is what many times will help you get the following.
Absolutely.
It's a tool, it's a branding tool. You got to have a book to get booked. I tell people that all the time.
You better say
the majority of the people I said you got to have a book to get booked. So it's so important, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, everyone that we see, whether it was at the Grammys last night or on television, they had a product of some sort, whether it was their album, whether it was their book. They decided to invest the time necessary in order to push and to bring their dreams into fruition. And a lot of times your book can be turned into a movie. How many films have actually been books?
Yes. And that's my key point, especially when I'm talking to first-time authors or authors who contact me as far as either writing or publishing, is showing them that one book can evolve. And that's why my company ultimately is named Pen Legacy, because once you pen that story, that legacy will outlive you. It never dies.
Unborn.
Right. It never. I mean, think of the music that we listen to. Some of that stuff was written back in the 30s, 40s, 50s. It's still here and making money. Once you put pen to paper, you've created something that will forever go on. It's a legacy that never dies.
That's right. Generations yet unborn will be reading your work and your literature.
Yes.
And that is. And books, again, will change your life and your brand. I tell people, stop running around with a business card and get yourself a book. It automatically makes you an authority. And it automatically positions you, not just from a domestic standpoint, but when you look at the global sales opportunity, almost every country has a group of publishers, and your book may do better in another country. So it gives you an opportunity for international sales.
Yeah. Yes, shout out to UK, because UK keeps me happy every month.
Right? Yes. When I look at some of even speaking engagements and appearances, the majority of the money that you're going to get, your top fee, will come from
the book sales
outside the country. Every time I leave the country, they'll usually book me 2 or 3 times, but the minimum contract I get is $100,000 to leave the country. They don't care.
Nice.
That sounds like a lot of money to us, but it's not much money to them. So again, that book is so very important, and also looking into other demographics. That's why, again, going back to, you know, the children's book genre, it's so very important, because many would say, is it an oversaturated market? Absolutely not. That generation is what is making YouTube what it is today. And they're always, and the parents and even stakeholders, uncles and aunts, were always buying gifts to try to plant that seed in that young person's mind, so that they ultimately grow up with the knowledge and information, like you said, that teaches them that every movie they generally see about us, you know, it starts with the whole slavery concept, but very rarely will they go beyond that. Very rarely will they show us Cleopatra when they did, or they showed us, what was her name? Elizabeth Taylor. She played, I believe she played Cleopatra.
Yeah, she played Cleopatra too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not what Cleopatra looked like. So if you don't know who you are, then anyone can name you. And if anybody can name you, we'll answer to anything. Our stories are relevant. And I believe that we are not writing as much as we should. We're not putting out enough content. You know, that's what bothers me, is that we say, oh, people don't read anymore. Absolutely not true. You know,
that's not true.
We look at what took place in the pandemic, it really made us more focused, and we turned inner versus outer, and book sales have been steadily climbing ever since then.
Absolutely.
People got back to basics.
Yes. And that's the key. And that is the key. And that's one of the things with the Michelle series, is getting back to the basics, the basic fundamentals of either storytelling or education or entertaining, or just a great book to help you escape. Because it's a lot going on in this world. We don't know if we're coming. We don't know if we're going. We don't know whether to save or spend or travel or stay put. We don't know. And people are flocking to books and their Kindle to find a good book, just to kind of get away. Erase what's going on and just go somewhere else. And little kids are trying to figure out, okay, what book is left for me to read, because they're emptying out our libraries.
Where they bury the lies, the libraries.
Exactly.
That's exactly what they've been doing, burying lie after lie, until we get Black authors to tell the story. You know, I totally get it. I had Farrah Gray Publishing, and I published Don Lemon from CNN, Keanu Marley, the son of Bob Marley, and countless other books, because I believe that, you know, our stories are relevant.
They are.
And they're needed. And they are absolutely needed. And if we don't have them, then we've pretty much lost, you know, And again, if you notice, the governor of Florida is intentionally looking to erase our history. So that way, if there aren't books, if there isn't enough content out there, because we were taught the good old lie, right? That if you want to hide something from a Black person, you put it where?
In the book.
Absolutely not true.
Yep.
We know that that is the greatest myth of all time, but again, we perpetuate those lies.
Yeah.
So tell us about a couple more books that you have within this series.
Sure. I have Michelle Goes to Congress, which is the other book that you're holding.
Yes.
That is my favorite book, because my educational background is law, poli-sci.
Oh, wow.
I am, I am a certified paralegal. I eat, breathe, sleep law and government. So writing that book for me was intentional, because I got tired of educating people on Facebook, blaming everybody but the branch of government that needed to be blamed. So, and when I wrote Congress, it was, okay, let me give you a quiz. Who do you think truly controls the United States? Is it the government? I mean, is it the White House, Congress, or Supreme Court? And that was my very first question before I even penned that book. And out of almost my whole friend list, nobody could answer that question correctly. Which explained to me why our voting system and how we vote versus Democrat or Republican, why we're falling for big lies and untruths and unknowns, because we don't understand who truly holds the key to our freedom, our success, our ability to buy homes, our ability to have a job. Is it truly in the White House? Is it truly in Congress? Or is it truly in the Supreme Court? So that book, Michelle Goes to Congress, is me educating not just children, but it's encouraging parents to read to their children so they also can be informed. So instead of you watching CNN or MSNBC screaming at the television, you're able to understand the lie from the truth and not get fed into
BET,
or BET or VH1. We can name
which
them
is an
all.
acronym for Bad Education Television.
See? So we have to understand our government. So for that one, that was a very intentional book, and that's one of my proudest books. The other book I have, Michelle and Her Magical Pen. That was the very first book of the series. That book is encouraging children to write, express themselves. Don't be afraid to hold your feelings in. And that book actually was birthed out of seeing the unrest and crime happening in my city, Philadelphia. Every time you turn around, there's always a killing. It's always anger, upset, hurt, harm. And it was, what's going on? How come we're not expressing ourselves? And you're seeing babies that are out here, now hurting and flash mobs. And I'm like, these kids are not even 10 yet. So let's move that energy from fighting to writing, or fighting to singing, or fighting to playing an instrument, things that we used to do back in the 90s. So that's another one of my greatest book. And then my most recent is Michelle, I'm going to say my real name. Michelle opens up her first bank account, and that one is teaching children about financial literacy, which is also very important, as we see with the stock markets going up and down, people hired today, fired tomorrow. You got to understand money and start being responsible on how you handle money, savings accounts, investing, checking, not when you get a job or if you're giving your child allowance. Start sitting at the table and teaching your children how to manage money. Teach them how to write out a check or balance out a checkbook, or look at, a statement on a computer. When you're doing bills, show them how to do bills. It will definitely help them from, not like me, being 18 years old, not only in college debt, but credit card debt, and it took me 44 years to get out of all of it. Stop the cycle. We don't have to be broke as soon as we're born. Let's stop that. So those are some of the series, but every book is a new adventure, but it's a venture on teaching us on how to be better.
Yeah, the book on financial literacy is so very important because there is definitely a machine in place to keep us economically oppressed.
Yes.
To keep us as fuel for the economy. When we look at our buying power, and at the end of the day, we're not producing, and that's the most unfortunate thing. We are really just consumers because we don't understand that who we give our dollars to is who we give our power to.
Absolutely. I'm
going to say that again.
And they market directly to us.
Who we give our dollars to is who we give our power to. So our whole movement of Black Lives Matter, Black lives never mattered to them, but Black dollars do. So if we don't teach our babies at an early age, many of you know my story of becoming a millionaire by the age of 14, many moons ago. Whew, wow. Okay, I'm getting old. It's 24 years ago, almost 25 years ago. Well, yeah, going on 25 years ago. So a quarter of a century ago, I became a millionaire.
You hide very well.
So I think it's so important, again, that we have those conversations. And I understand, unfortunately, that there are a lot of parents. Shout out to Ryan in the building. Shout out to Closet Talk 101, Monico. So I think it's so important that for the parents that, I hate to say it, but don't have the knowledge and the information to give their children is that you put the information around them by way of children's books that can teach them what you weren't taught,
Right.
or honestly, quietly, secretly, that you may not even know,
No.
principle-wise.
Yes.
So that's a lot of what we fall into, because children are practicing adults. So you have to give them the tools in order to practice, because if we don't raise the best and the brightest within Black America, we don't have a future. Every other country and race of people, they have a rites of passage, they have training, they have programs that teach and train and educators that literally invest in the future. The teachers that are the majority of the teachers teaching our children, if they won't treat you right, they won't teach you right. So you can't just depend on the teachers to teach our children. We've got to pick up the literature that is available to us to arm our children with what is necessary to do battle in this world that they're growing up in, where they are automatically endangered species. So you know, at the end of the day, we may not be at war, but we're in a war.
Absolutely.
And our children need the books necessary to become the talented 10. You know, they need that resource, and that's why your books to me are so relevant and important. And I've already started reading them to my 2-year-old daughter. And, you know, absolutely, thank you, because it's necessary. You know, there's a YouTube video in the little song, I can't remember it, but it was Jesus loves little people. Jesus loves little people like me, me, me. And she plays it all the time. Jesus loves little people like me, me, me. And when I looked over at the video, which I have to follow up with the lady who created it, so I can take her to school on the toxicity of that video. There isn't one person, child of color. So who does Jesus love or look like, right? You know, so they have really attempted to put, so what I did was I had some of my editors, I had her dancing on, I put a green screen up, so my daughter's dancing, doing her little favorite dance moves, and we imposed her into the video, re-edited it so representation would be there, because we understand the importance of representation. So my point is that they are not only attempting to erase us, not only our literature, but they are feeding in the minds of our children. And I'm gonna get a little controversial when they look at Jesus, that the majority of the pictures are printed that don't look like them. That's not Jesus. When they look at a Santa Claus and the gifts, and you working all year long and broke as can be after Christmas, and you gave all the praise to someone who doesn't look like them, you are creating and developing an inferiority complex. So if you're doing that, right, if you're doing that and you're not bold enough and Black enough and strong enough to teach your children the truth, can you at least pick up some books that are? You know, that to me is what is so very important. And that's why I'm so appreciative that you're pushing out this literature with the aim and attention on our young Black minds.
Yes.
IBM,
Somebody
young
has
Black
to look
minds.
out for them. Somebody has to look out for them, because the schools are not doing it. And I mean, I'm not,
know.
You're right. And the parents don't know, because our parents only, know what they were taught. And their education was limited because they were dealing with segregation, or, schools with no textbooks, or schools in urban areas, because that's where they could afford to live. And that was one of the things that really drove me to be a writer in North Philly, is seeing the environment around me, knowing it's more than just my Strawberry Mansion section. Going out, when my mom would take me out to certain places, museums or events, and exposing me to things, it's like, oh, okay, let me write about it. And I started out as a writer, as a poet. I wasn't writing sentences. I was only good enough to write stanzas. But my poetry was speaking to the ills of what, I saw in my neighborhood: drugs, poverty, my friends being arrested because they got to hustle to take care of mom, homelessness, That was my picture of what my life was supposed to look like. I was supposed to be pregnant by the age of 14 because my friends were. So it was okay, you know what? I don't want this reality. So now let me write what I want my life to be. And that's how my writing journey started. And then it just kind of grew into the literature space because I used to write for different legal magazines. Then I went into books. And as you said about books going to movies, 5 of my books were actually plays. I adapted them into stage plays and premiered them in Hollywood, California, and off-Broadway. So
what was the name? Tell us a little bit about that. Let's jump into that.
Sure. So one of my books, Get Out Your Own Way, that was a book that I actually wrote and had some co-authors come and join on encouraging people on how to get out of their own way of success. Getting out of that self-sabotaging thoughts, getting out of the you can't do because you didn't have no one to teach you. It's a lot of information, network, partner, learn, teach, connect with people and learn. Stop being your worst critic. Stop being the person that's stopping you. And that book we turned into a play, and that the concept of the play, which I enjoyed writing, is 5 friends all connected by a lie, that one of them has to come clean to save the others, which for me is the generational chain that the Black family goes through. We're all connected some kind of way by a generational curse that we need one person in that family to break in order to free the remaining lines. And that play actually premiered in Hollywood, October 2019, 9 sold out shows in Hollywood.
October 20,
and
what year was this?
2019.
2019, okay.
Yep, right before the pandemic. And then we went to off-Broadway, 3 shows and off-Broadway. Sold out there as well. And then I did another play, Living Your Life. That was my writing journey on how I became a writer. Had to choose between my marriage and my pen.
I want to take a quick moment. If anybody has any questions for me and or our guest, definitely let me know. And make sure you hit the request button. Hit that request button. Hit the request button if you want to come on in and you have some questions. We've got a few more minutes with her, but I wanted to make sure. I'm sorry. Please continue. You got me. Not only are you a great writer, but you're a great storyteller. So I'm engrossed. Please continue.
Yes, no problem. So Living Your Life, that was my story on how I chose me. Literally, I had to choose me. And I'm not going to give any more because actually these plays you can actually see on YouTube. So if you're curious, you go right to YouTube and look up Charron Monaye and you can see the plays. And then my
plays. I got a chance to see some of your tips and techniques on how to get into the book and get your book into stores, which you all need to check that out on YouTube.
Oh, yes, the writer's room.
Yeah, the writer's room and how to, the importance of ghostwriting, etc. Yeah. And then my other play, Why Can't We Be Friends? That was my oldest son, Christopher, who is actually right now serving in the United States Army. Always got to shout out my soldier. He was 9 years old when he published his first book, and it was an anti-bullying book. I love it.
Of course, with the help of his mother. And I turned his play because he wanted to be in my plays, and I was like, I don't write plays with kid characters, son. I'm sorry. So I wrote his own play, and he played the lead in his play, and that play actually got him acknowledged by, at that time, President Barack Obama and VP George Biden. And that play toured Philadelphia, was in schools, and then we premiered it in the DC Theater Festival as well down there in DC. So, yeah, those are some of the play projects that I've adapted. And I've written, other play scripts for people adapting their books into script. It's not much I can't write.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, we might need to talk. We might need to talk. I have a couple creative projects that I would love to get the whole adaptation from book over into the script format, and then that also puts people in a position to then shop the script to
Absolutely.
Hollywood. But again,
Yep.
it starts with the book, y'all.
Yeah,
It starts with the book.
it starts with the book and the words.
That's right. It doesn't
Gotta
end
have
with the
good
book. A lot of people
words.
believe it ends with the book, but that's where your journey begins.
Yes.
There were some people who knew who I was, and I had appeared. I'd done interviews. I was a guest co-host on a talk show at 9 years old, nationally syndicated show with 12 million listeners and viewers. I had been on Montel Williams. I had been on the cover of different magazines, Black Enterprise for Teens, all of that stuff.
Yes.
However, the world did not know about me until I wrote my book,
A book.
Millionaire. Now
Absolutely.
it's Becoming Rich from the Inside Out. Right after the book dropped, did Good Morning America and 100 TV shows, local and national later. 2 million books, as I mentioned before, almost 6 million followers now, well, including the email database as well. So I think we're right at a community of about 6 million.
Nice.
Yeah. So it all started as
With the
far
book.
as exposure-wise with that book.
Right.
And I think that we have someone who's super dope. I'm actually I want to circle back, check out your fees, and find out what you charge for various ghostwriting opportunities, adaptation opportunities, because a lot of us are sitting on a gold mine and we're doing nothing with it, but we're watching other people's success stories. And I tell people, the people that you see today that are successful, it's because not only did they take action, but they're living in their dream. That's the key.
Right.
Because the two most important times.
Right. And they are not afraid to take a chance.
That's right.
And I guess for me, that's the one thing I always tell my children is that the difference between you and someone that you idolize on TV or someone that you enjoy in a movie is the only difference is they dared to be great. They didn't mind, eating McDonald's until they made it. They didn't mind, relocating to get that opportunity. It's that step on faith. Do you have the faith and do you trust enough that you are worthy to receive what it is that you want, you desire, or that you feel in your spirit is just yours?
And as Paul said, that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. So you're absolutely correct. You can't win if you don't play.
Right. You have to play, but you have to know that you belong at the table. That's key. Because a lot of us play but don't feel like we belong. It's like, okay, yes, I want to talk to him, but is he going to? I want to, but are they going to? And that's that get out of your own way. Just do it.
That's absolutely the truth, because my grandmother, may her soul rest in peace, she used to tell me growing up that, nobody is better than you, and everybody puts on their pants one leg at a time in the morning. Unless they jump in them. She said, wake up every morning and say, why not me? I had a teacher, I'll never forget it, tell me that she was used to people saying what they wanted to be, and I told her I was going to be a millionaire one day, and she told me, no, you're not. She said, you're poor and your family's poor. You got to go find somebody to work for. And she pointed towards McDonald's. And some years ago, she called me and saw me on TV. Oh, I'm so proud of you, young man. I'm so proud of you. Oh, it was amazing. Oh, I just knew you could do it. And I'm like, is this the same person? I said, didn't you say I should work at McDonald's? I said, well, the success that I enjoy today and the fact that I'm able to give back, the philanthropy, I said, the success I have today, I'm loving it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times,
it's a joy in proving people wrong.
Yes. So again, that's why the books and the literature is so important. So as we close out, I see some questions, some questions on I guess it's the moderator part at the bottom. One question that you did get was, what is the best way to start a kid's book with your child? My son is determined to be a millionaire.
That's a good question. I actually have about 7 authors under me that are under the age of 7.
Okay.
I have babies, and I always start out with my babies. I always tell them, what is it that you want to write about? What is it that you really like? And what is it that you want to write about? And then once you get those 2 answers, then it's just, I always say, let children be creative. Some stories, they can rhyme. Every story doesn't have to read like a novel. Some stories can just be Mike had a pencil, turn a page. Mike loves to write, turn a page. Like, it can be that simple. It doesn't have to be a lot of sentences or paragraphs. A story is not complicated. It's just something of expression. So to get started, just ask those 2 questions and let that guide it. And then ask him, or ask, him or her, what is he doing or what is she doing? Okay, where is she going? Okay, what is she doing now that she's there? Okay, is she happy or is she sad? That's your story. Because all you're doing is answering those questions. Draw some pictures, you have a book. Children's books are fun. They don't take a lot of, okay, let me sit down and put an outline together. A kid's mind is so full of imagination. Have fun. Don't put the stigma on it. Like, once we become adults, we start, projecting and, no, it has to be this way. No, do it this way. No. Have fun.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And we're going to be following up
Yes.
with this particular interview. I definitely want to feature you on the page as well. So
you.
that way people can follow up. I don't know if you want to focus on the books or, some of your other services or all of the above. We'll figure that out. But for those of you that didn't already, trickle over and follow, or, cop her books. We'll be able to follow up very soon with a promo on the page. So you will be seeing Charron Monaye again very soon. So I want to thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
It's an honor. It is an honor because you are literally, and let's understand, y'all, she being in Florida is seriously up against an awesome enemy.
I'm a rebel.
Yes, rebel without a pause.
Yes.
So, and a
soldier. Let's just say, Michelle is now in elementary schools in Tampa, Florida.
Teach.
It's not a game here. It's not a game. Our stories will be told.
That's right. Our stories will be told. Thank you so much for joining. Blessings to you.
And I want
to thank you and you too, all of y'all, for joining. And we will
definitely
be following up with Charron.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.